Sarah.
Everyone.
No time for banner.
Jen and I just had like a full banner session. And then at the end, I was like, oh, shit, we should have been recording that because it was funny. And then she said,
no time for banter. You know what I am right now? I am the fireman out opening the hydrant.
for the block party.
For the block party. And a zillion books are about to shoot out of it.
Everyone, I know that in film this happens. Like you see this. You see the firemen come and they open, or you don't see it, but you see like a party in New York City or Chicago or like LA, like a big party in a big city and like a block party, and they open the hydrant and the hydrant shoots water out and the kids run around in it. And I'm here to tell you that is in fact true. And for many years before I got to New York, I thought like, oh, is it like people know how to open the hydrant? Like in my head, I was like, this must just be like a thing people in cities know how to do, which is insane, by the way. Like I now thinking back on it, that would be mayhem if everyone knew how to do this. But no, you literally get like a block party, a permit from the city, and the fire department comes to your block in the morning. And they open it up and they put sprinkler covers on them. So it's like, instead of shooting it out so that a toddler just gets shot across the street, it's like more like a shower situation.
That's nice.
And it's very nice. And I've also seen it happen on extremely hot days. Like the fire department will come out and like open it on like a few streets, and then people can like just go and like hang out. So that's cool. That's a cool city thing that that happens in movies, and also I can confirm happens in real life.
There's a community garden up the block from me, and sometimes it seems like when it's like planting season, they will like attach some sort of hose, and everybody's like able to water the garden and get it all started or whatever. I'm like, okay.
I'm sure they call the fire department and they're like, we're working in the garden today. This is amazing. There are some things that I think the fire department really must enjoy. I think that's one.
Yeah.
And we all know. I don't know if I've ever. I know you and me and Eric.
Listen,
have talked about this.
I think they enjoy putting on all of their like work stuff, but with like bare chested
and going shopping
and appearing on romance novel covers. Come on.
Listen, these men, when they go shopping, first of all, why do you need 15 firemen in the grocery store? They ride up in their giant truck. They like double park outside the grocery store. This is New York City truth. This is real. Yeah. This is facts. And then they all get out of the truck looking, honest to God, real hot. Like there's something about firemen. Like, listen, you could keep every other uniform. Firemen are very hot. Run into
Job
fire.
Is destiny.
Yeah. Run. Anyway, and they just everybody is just speechless. Like even the men are like, holy cannoli, look at these guys. And that's why they travel in a pack, I think, just to like.
Yeah, right. Sure. Create a buffer zone.
I mean, my favorite is one time my daughter was like, oh God, 2.5, 3, little.
Yeah.
And we lived around the corner from a grocery store, and we were coming out of the grocery store, and this particular grocery store
was coming in.
Had a parking lot, and so there was a truck, like a big fire truck, and of course, like when they're 2 or whatever, you're like, oh, look at that, like,
yeah, right, of course,
you identify everything,
sure,
and so you're like, look at this fire truck, and she's like, yeah, and then like the door opened, and they all like piled out like clowns, and she was like. And then they all like walk past her with like big smiles. Because it's the other thing. The people they send to the grocery store, it's like the 25-year-olds. They're all sweet babies. Every one of them with a dimple. I don't know. It feels like you gotta pass a hot test to get into the NY.
Working at a school, you have fire drills a couple times a year, and they come, and that's nice. That's nice for everybody.
Sure. But wait, where was I? Oh, I wanted to say, though, so besides, dressing up and going to the grocery store to like, freeze women people in their tracks. The other thing that I think firemen in New York City, at least, or everywhere, love doing is when there is a reason to hook up a hose and there's a car in front of the fire hydrant.
Oh, yeah. God, that scene in that one movie where they're like, we're just like breaking up the window of the Mercedes.
Right through. And the reality is, you guys, they don't tow. There's no time. They'd have to get a tow truck, so they just break your windows and send the hose directly through the car if you park if you park in a hydrant spot. And I would bet that they fight over who gets to do that.
Oh, heck yeah. Like maybe they have to, yeah, sure. Somebody's
It's on
turn.
rotation. It's my turn.
It's my turn. Like they get to call dibs or something.
So, anyway, if you know about inner city firemen and their favorite parts of the job, please report in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about this because firemen are hot and so is summer.
Yes. Well, not here in Chicago. We've had a very cool summer.
I know, it's pouring rain here in New York too.
It's what it is. I can't even get upset about it anymore because
in the southern hemisphere, it's not hot. But just go with it, Jen. My God, I was making a nice little segue.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry, I have had on my air conditioning on once. Okay, anyway. What we're going to be doing is it's the summer
quarterly.
Yeah, the quarterly new reads episode. Now, for those of you who are like, my TBR is already too big, I need you to flee right now. Flee for your own safety. We are about to talk about, I am sure, 50 books in the next hour or two. So the rest of you, the thing to also remember is if you have one of those podcasting apps that like shows you there's too many books to do that. So instead, you need to go to the website for this one. And there will be a like sort of by month of release. And that's how we do it. And then I'll put them into the photo array in the same order that we talk about them. So hopefully you will be able to find this book and then maybe pre-order it for yourself so that it appears later. And you're like, what's this? A gift you gave yourself?
A gift
from the past.
You and us. We would like credit.
Yes.
When you open that box, just be like, oh, thanks, Sarah and Jen.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And then anybody around you who's complaining about how much money you spent on books, just say it was a gift from us. That's from my friends Sarah and Jen.
That's how it works. Okay. So
wait, can we talk about pre-ordering just for a second? Because it comes up every once in a while. And I don't think we always talk about it, but why not talk about it now when you could also pre-order one of my books? I mean, just sort of off the cuff. Pre-orders are important. We don't all do them. In fact, most of us don't do them because you know what? Your money is your money and you should keep it in your bank account until you're ready to spend it. And, you know, things are tough out there. But if you are in a position to be able to pre-order, and when I say pre-order, I mean, I include like ask your library maybe.
Yeah, right.
Make sure this book is on their list. So there are lots of different ways for you to pre-order, but if you're in a position to, it is actually really great for authors because the way that structurally the way books work is obviously like I have a book out now, but I am like right up at nearing the end of a different book, right? So we're writing the next book. Everything is we're many of us are at one or two books already down the line, and the sales on our current book or the pre-orders on our current book might inspire our publishers to say, buy another book from us or, you know, support us in some way. And so if they see that a lot of people are into a book that's on the list in September right now, that means like they might put some more marketing money behind it. They might spend a little more time paying attention to that book. Other bookstores might notice. Other readers might notice. So, listen, you have to do what you have to do. Pre-ordering is not essential. You can certainly come to a book whenever you want. But if you happen to be wondering about pre-orders, they do in fact help. They do indicate support to the publisher and to stores. And if there's an author on this list, particularly a queer author or an author of color who you think, oh, that book does sound good, pre-ordering would be terrific. Again, you can also pre-order by ordering from your library, or if it's not in your library system yet, contacting your local library system and saying, hey, could you guys order? I'm requesting that you order.
Right. You know, and sometimes there's actually like a form for that. And you can also essentially do that right on Libby. Right. If you use like the Libby app, if they don't have a book, there's sort of like a menu and you can get to like, I'm interested in you getting this book or whatever. Yep. So
it's interesting because in the summer, often I am in a tiny little library in Rhode Island, which has 32 population 32, the town. But the town is very, very well funded for a reason that you will learn about in the storms episode coming up. And I literally asked them a couple times over the last summer, like, do you think we could get this book? And literally they ordered it and it was just there. So if you live in a small town, just ask your librarian how you get a book. And often there is a budget for it.
Yeah, pre-ordering is important. And if you can do it, it is a great thing to do. And sometimes people wait around for like Barnes and Noble will have that like kind of 30% off pre-orders.
Oh, and wait, this is a good time for us to talk about Pocketbooks.
Oh, yeah.
Pocket Bookshop in Lancaster, Pennsylvania has a standing 15% off if you pre-order a book and use the code preorder in checkout. You get 15% off. So like support a local indie, support an indie that's queer and woman owned, that's anti-racist, that's feminist, that's all the good things, and 15% off.
All right. So our plan here today, everybody, is we're going to talk about a couple June stragglers, right? But our primary focus here is July, August, September. And what we will be doing is essentially, I can't promise the books will be in order, like in the month, but like we'll sort of notify you, okay, we're moving to July. And then if your podcasting app supports it and you look down, you'll see the name of the month, in like a pretty font or whatever. And then you can, like I said, go to the podcast, the website. And then all the books we talk about will be there in order. And hopefully that will help you find which ones we talked about. So, Sarah, do you want to start? We have a couple June books.
I do. So I want to start. We've already talked about this book a couple of times, but I just want to say out loud that on the 24th, which is Mia Sosa's launch day for When Javi Dumped Mari, which is a second chance romance. This one's for anybody who, wants to see a romance that was absolutely destroyed, then rekindled. We love Mia here. She's terrific and a terrific person. And
yeah. In fact, if you are in Chicago, I will be at the last chapter with Mia on, I think, Monday, May 30th. And, to talk about her new book. So if you're hearing this, come join us. It'd be really fun.
Also, can we just say, I did not realize this, but if you have seen The Materialists and you really enjoyed it, this is a book for you. Because it is a similar, what I love is in the first paragraph of the description of this book, it says, Marisol is engaged to a Pedro Pascal knockoff, and her childhood sweetheart fallen apart. Javi comes and gets in the mix. So if you enjoy that vibe,
there you go.
Which, who doesn't enjoy a Pedro Pascal vibe? You're going to love this.
Okay. I have a YA book for June, and I think I like that we're kind of trying to do a couple of those in case you're looking for a book either for your kids or like a YA reader in your life, or maybe just you want a buddy read with your own kids. This one is called Best Summer Ever by Jessica Consolo, and it has sort of two kind of young women as the main characters. So Jenna, who just really is a real Virgo type. She's got everything in control, and doesn't like making decisions. Everyone's making plans and moving on, right? And she's just I don't like this. So she decides to essentially throw a big week-long end of summer extravaganza at her family's lake house, just to sort of cement her place in the school hierarchy. What could go wrong? And I think a lot of kind of friendships tested and things going on, including Olivia, who's just found out her long-term boyfriend has cheated on her. And so she is looking for, right. So that's kind of two of the plot lines that are going to all happen together at the big Best Summer Ever week-long. Oh boy, I think a lot of things can go wrong. As an adult, I read these and I'm like, oh, girls, just be safe. But it looks really fun. And I think that that might be a really great book for you to look at with your kids. So Best Summer Ever by Jessica Consolo.
Okay, also out this week this is a new author for me, but Lily Moore, I think it's probably pronounced Lily. Lily Moore has Keeping the Countess out this week. This one is Jonah Sinclair, who is a reverend, but also has survived the deadly streets of London with 2 well-trained fists. So, I'm kind of for it. Is headed for revenge. His father's been killed, and he is about to just give up reverending in order to get revenge, because those two things do not go hand in hand. So he takes a position as a tutor in the Earl of Rochford's estate, and believing that there is something there on this estate that will lead him to his father's murder. But instead, he finds himself drawn to the Earl's abandoned countess, who is struggling to defend her crumbling estate, to protect her child, and to resist this sexy, fist-wielding revenge man.
Amazing. I'm not even mad about it. Okay.
So that is Keeping the Countess by Lily Moore.
Okay. I have, everybody knows I'm super into the fact that time travel seems to be back.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah. And one of the things that's really interesting about it is the first wave of time travel was people going back, and a lot of these are people coming forward. So in this, An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Cecilia Edward, Thorne Scarlett is a 39-year-old witch who can't find love in the 17th century. She's got a local matchmaker on it, an arsenal of powerful love potions, but she just can't make it work out until she essentially brews a potion that backfires so spectacularly she is hurled 350 years into the future, landing in a bustling city where her once isolated cottage is now a historical museum, which I think is really smart.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so
amazing.
Isn't that great? And so I'm really excited to read this one. And this one is, like I said, out now. And I'm just so I just think that's great. I'm really excited to read that one.
That is really fun. Wait, tell me the title again.
An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Cecilia Edward. So
I'm writing that down. I could check show notes later, everybody, but why would I do that? Do as I say, not as I do.
I don't even know what to say about that, Sarah.
Okay, my last one for June. I'm really intrigued by this because I have followed Katie Storino on Instagram for years. Katie is a plus-sized influencer. She's in her 40s, and she's kind of famous on Instagram for doing the plus size the look posts where she'll take a celebrity fashion plate or a paparazzi photo, and then she will she'll style herself that way and show you basically how this look can look good on on a larger body too. Yeah. I love her. She is somebody who is such so body positive. She's like, if you love color, wear colorful swimsuits, be happy in your body because this is the world that we live in and it's crazy and you should be happy. So she has written it seems like it is romance sort of edging into commercial fiction. So the protagonist is recently divorced.
What's the name of it, Sarah? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's called Sunny Side Up.
Okay.
And Sunny, that's the name of the character. She is is recently divorced. Her little brother is getting married. She has to go to the wedding by herself. We find her in Bergdorf's swimsuit department, just looking for anything plus size. It's impossible. She is great, but her business is great. Her work life is great, but everything else is a little bit chaotic. And so this book is really about her going to figuring out who she is, but with the help of Dennis, her charming and down to earth mailman, or perhaps Ted, the business tycoon who seems ready to make her size-inclusive swimsuit brand a reality. So, like, sounds like this might work if, like, you're interested in there are two. Again, the materialists is here. It's like two kind of decent people, and whatever happens. So I'm not sure how romancy this is, but I will say I really like Katie's whole brand on Instagram. I think it's really authentic and I say that because like it's years and years in the making. But I don't know. I don't know her. But this seems like it'll be fun. And I did download it and I am going to read it. That's Sunny Side Up by Katie Sturino.
In case you're more like the materialists, but make it 3, would be Party of 3 by Christopher Rice, right? C. Travis Rice.
That's on my list too.
Yeah, and that one comes out, I think, end of June, right? Might be out this week. So we've got Buckley Mitchell, a charming, warm-hearted EMT. He already has he's just the boyfriend Mateo Cano needs to help him, sort of like, right? Like Buckley's been really repressing his true self. But Mateo has like a complicated relationship situationship with his best friend from his Marine Corps days. That's Master Sergeant Jeff Braxton. And so it looks like these 3 are going to figure it out, which really honestly is the only way a love triangle needs to end is in all of you in bed together. So that's Party of 3 by C. Travis Rice. And that is part of the Sapphire Cove kind of world. We've talked about those books a bunch.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to read it. So
also Harper St. George has Eliza and the Duke out this month in case you're looking for historicals.
This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by Kara Kentley, author of Another Summer.
10 years ago, college sweethearts Miles and Avery were the perfect couple. They met working at a lakeside resort in Maine, and it was like perfect magical summer. They were like blueberry pancakes and maple syrup, but by summer's end, things had turned sticky, and Miles abruptly ended things, and they haven't spoken since. But now they are both successful people, self-made millionaires. I love this. So regular with a little M. And the owner of this resort suffers a family emergency, and both Avery and Miles have the opportunity to go back and help essentially keep the resort afloat for the summer. Avery's had a tough go of it. She has had to leave a cheating fiance, and she just wants to play it safe. And she doesn't really have the mental energy to give Miles what he wants, which seems to be a second chance. He's now a tech entrepreneur and a semi-famous serial dater living in New York, and he really feels like Avery was the only woman who's really kind of understood him, and he really wants to make amends and make up for those past hurts, but she is determined to keep him a canoe paddle distance away. So what's going to happen when Avery and Miles discover that maybe they do still have feelings for each other? Is this the summer they figure out what they really are, friends, lovers, enemy, or just exes who couldn't make it work?
Well, if you love a contemporary second chance romance with ghosted exes in a small town and pining because Maine is the pine tree state, Jen, then you just might love Another Summer. You can find it right now in print or in ebook. And the cover of this book is so pretty. It's this beautiful, pretty watercolor. So make sure you check that out too. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to buy the book. Thanks to Kara Kentley for sponsoring this week's episode.
Sarah, it's on to July.
July. Okay. I'm going to start. Hang on. I'm going to pull up my whole
list. Exactly.
Oh my God. We got to move.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I was like, no time for banter. And we talked about firemen for 10 minutes.
Well, because you know what? Sometimes I get distracted by firemen. I don't know what to say. Okay. I'm going to start with Enemies with an Earl by Lizzie Cause. So this one is out July 15th. And the tagline for this is, an Earl really shouldn't sleep with his valet. Or should he? And my thing is, he absolutely should. As long as everybody's having a good time. So Felix Jennings, our Earl, has spent his life guarding his family's safety and his preference for men. And now he's sort of stuck with a man who he has been attracted to for a long time, for a week, and is kind of scared that he is going to not be able to keep control. Unfortunately, this man makes a full ass of himself. And Felix realizes that he just doesn't want to be a part of this. That said, his valet and best friend is with him. Also can't stand this handsome Earl. And Sam, the valet, is forced to help him kind of help Felix keep his secrets and keep away from this man who he's had a crush on for so long. And this is the two of them falling in love and working out the fact that they not only work together, but also are two men in love in the Regency. So that's Lizzie Caus's Enemies with an Earl.
Okay. So I have The Summer You Were Mine by Jill Francis. And everybody, the cool thing about this, I'm not going to lie, is that Jill is a huge Fated Mates fan. So I have a copy of this, and I think it's really cool to think about all of the people out there listening to the podcast who are like, I'm going to write one of these. I think it's awesome. So in this one, it's a second chance romance between Ellie and Chris. Now, they had a teenage romance because they both have families. Both their families are from Italy's coast. And so now it's like 15 years later, and they are returning to this town for the wedding of her grandmother to his grandfather, which I like really love. So Ellie, and they're both kind of in like a real transition point in their lives. Ellie had a career-ending hot mic incident. Chris is a retired Olympic swimmer, which I also am really interested in. And he has faced some accusations that he's been doping. And so there's just like a lot going on with both of them. And so as they return home and sort of like kind of rekindle their teenage kind of romance into an adult affair, they have to figure out like what they're going to let go of, how they're going to figure out, kind of who they both really are and what happened all those years ago, and rediscover love together. So that is The Summer You Were Mine by Jill Francis.
I'm going to talk about Give Me a Reason by J.C. Lee, which is out July 29th. And this is, we've talked about J.C. before. We love her books here. And this is a modern retelling of Jane Austen's Persuasion that's got like a K-drama twist. So this is a K-drama actress gets a second chance with the man she left to save her family. And now she's got to work up some courage to apologize, reckon with the past, and risk her heart on forever. So it's been 10 years since Anne and Frederick were together. And to save her father from bankruptcy, she dropped out of college. She pursued an acting career in Korea, and she left him. She stopped him from, it sounds like she, Harry and the Hendersons, this guy, to keep him from following her and ruining his own plans. But now, so he talk about firefighters, though. He followed his dream. He's a firefighter in Culver City. I bet he's got a dimple. And now she's back to Los Angeles, and they are in the same wedding. And it is going to be very difficult for these two to avoid the past and make the future. So that's J.C. Lee's Give Me a Reason. The cover of this book is so sweet. And,
that's a good cover. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for this one.
Okay. All right. I'm going to talk about, I'm not even really the pretense of me trying to connect these. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to talk about this one next. Okay. I'm going to talk about Behind Frenemy Lines by Zen Cho. And in this one, we have a Rivals.
I have that one too.
See, of course. We have also another great cover, right? So it's Rivals to Lovers romance where we've got kind of two lawyers, and Charles has always played by the rules. He was an outsider at his like posh English English boarding school. And now he's, but he like figured it out and like learned that world. And now he has a high pressure job at a really big corporate firm in London. And so, his job is his life and he likes it that way until she shows up. And she is Kriya. She has, her long-term boyfriend has broken up with her. She feels really like trapped in her legal career and needs a fresh start. But it turns out this new job is at the same firm as her work nemesis. She just keeps running into him, they've at, legal stuff or whatever. And so now he's her office mate. And so they are trying to figure out how to like work together with navigating their real kind of enemies of vibe but her boss keeps hitting on her. And so he agrees to pretend to date her, essentially, to like give her some cover there. So all of a sudden, these enemies are friends and then something else. So that's Behind Frenemy Lines.
Nice. So I want to talk about How Freaking Romantic by Emily Harding. You all maybe know Emily Harding as one half of the duo that wrote the Emma of 83rd Street, Anne of Avenue A series. It's like Elizabeth of East Hampton. But this is Emily's first solo book. And it is the tee up here is very cute. So Beatrice is our heroine and she's a lawyer and she is like pretty pissed off about a lot of things, including like the wage gap and the repayments, the student loan scandals and other things. But this is what makes her such a good friend. Like she is somebody who like, she just feels like there is justice to be done in the world. So when her best friends break up and file for divorce, the divorce proceedings get real ugly and she ends up having to pick up the pieces, but she needs to first get rid of her anger in the situation. So she storms the office of Nathan Asher, her friend's ex-husband's divorce lawyer, and she tells him exactly what he can do with his divorce petition. But what ends up happening is, of course, these two end up meeting again after this embarrassing, or she does a great job, I think, telling him exactly what he can do with his divorce petition. And then she shows up at her at her office a few days later because now he is her new colleague. And they have to work together, and he ends up being like kind of smart and handsome and patient and all the things that he should not be if she's going to officially hate him forever, which is what a good friend would do. So that's called How Freaking Romantic by Emily Harding, and that is out, I don't know, July 1st? July 1st.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about One More Time by Emily S. Morris. Remember on our Second Chance episode, we said there's a ton of second chance. Here we go. But one of these is that, okay, so Lucy Rollins and Nikki Broom, who had like this unbelievable one-night stand back in the 90s. And he was a big rock star, and he wrote a song about it. And then like for months, everyone was trying to figure out like who is the girl in this song. But now it is 3 marriages later for Lucy, 28 years later for the two of them. And she like runs into him in a hallway out. They're both going to this destination, a glamorous destination wedding. And it kind of feels like fate, like maybe that one night stand has a real chance of becoming something real all these years later. So, right, is it finally time to press play on a relationship, not just this like big dramatic thing? So the girl in the song becomes the girl for real, only she's a woman now. So that is One More Time by Emily S. Morris.
Jen.
Yes.
Welcome to Fate of Mates. I'm Sarah McLean. I read romance novels and I write them.
I'm Jennifer Prokop, romance reader, editor, and we're still in July. Take it away, Sarah. We don't have time for that. We don't have time.
No time for introductions?
No.
I hope the theme song is currently playing.
That'd be amazing. We talked about a rock star. We can talk about these summer storms for a minute since it's July.
Well, it is July. I do have a book out. Let's talk about a book that is also out on July 8th. So when your Storms pre-order comes through, maybe you'd like Alyssa Sussman's Totally and Completely Fine to come through as well. Alyssa from Funny You Should Ask, but this book is about Lauren Parker, who lives in a small Montana town, and she has played a lot of different roles in this town. She's been a teenage hellraiser. She is the sister of superstar Gabe Parker, and she is now sort of a tragically widowed single mother. She never cared much about what people in this town thought about her, but she is dealing with some pretty significant grief over the loss of her husband, and she feels like pretty adrift. Of course, Alyssa loves a celebrity romance, and so do I. So thanks to her brother, on the set of her brother's new movie, she meets handsome actor Ben Walsh, and they have instant chemistry. And Lauren realizes that it's been a long, long time since she has felt like truly seen, since she has had big feelings for somebody. And while she really wants to, and her instinct is to dive headfirst into this romance, the reality is that now she's got other things that are at issue here. She is still grieving her husband. She has a child. And now she has to balance the small town of it all, the rumors, the complications of fame, celebrity normie. I love it. And her daughter's unpredictable moods and response to all of this. So can this be, I think, an unsuspecting fling, or rather, is an unexpected fling even remotely possible? And what happens when it's not a fling? It is actually something real. So that is Alyssa Sussman's Totally and Completely Fine, and it is out July 8th.
Okay, so you're talking about celebrities, so I'm going to talk about Love is a War Song by Donica Nava. In this one, we have Muskegee pop star and real famous singer Avery Fox kind of becomes a joke after posing on the cover of Rolling Stone in a feather war bonnet. And she meant it to be a statement of her success about being a Native American singer, but instead turns her into a pariah, and everybody's calling her a fake. So, her career is at a standstill. And so she decides to go kind of back home to her grandmother Lottie's ranch in Oklahoma. And she hasn't lived on the reservation before. And so she's going to go to work and earn her keep. But the man who runs Lottie's ranch despises her and wants her gone. And that is Lucas Iron Eyes. The Red Fox Ranch has been his home since he was 16. And he really is one one of those guys who just keeps it really tight. He has rules that he's just all about the horses, preserving the culture, and just sticking to himself. And so to have a pop singer who is just a big, huge personality on the ranch, he just can't get her he just wants her out of there. And he really wants her out of his head. So these two are going to have to kind of save the ranch, and he's going to really help her get back in touch with her roots as a Native American, as an Indian. So she's it's purely transactional, no horsing around, but what's going to happen, you will find out when you read Love is a War Song.
So since you started talking about pop stars, I've got there are a bunch of pop star books coming out, or music adjacent books coming out. So we should talk about August Lane by Regina Black. Regina wrote Art of the Scandal, which lots of people have really loved. And she's back with a new book. So here's the premise. Luke Randall, the hero here, is a former country music heartthrob who is kind of a one-hit wonder. There's a song, he is most famous for a song called Another Love Song, and he has to play it anytime he plays.
Ugh.
And now he goes once a week to this like interstate motel off, like just somewhere like off the highway. And he has to sing this song like basically once a week to a group of people in a motel. It's the only money he still gets. But he gets this opportunity to open on tour with his childhood idol, a 90s era Black country music star, JoJo Lane, who is being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. The concert that he's been asked to open on, though, is in a small town in Arkansas, a town that Luke left when he was a kid and swore he'd never return to. And going back means he has to face not only his childhood and his past, but JoJo's daughter, August Lane, who, Jen, wrote the song.
Oh, boy.
He's always claimed was his. So when Luke shows up, it's 10 years later. The betrayal is keen. And August doesn't want to make amends. Instead, she wants to expose him and say, and tell the truth about the song that he stole. But she'll keep quiet if they can co-write a new song together and he has a chance to perform it at her mother's concert. Something that will launch August into her own career and change her future and write her future. So these two have to work together. There are secrets, there are lies, there's a juicy past, and I think probably a pretty juicy present too on the table here.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Only Lovers in the Building by Nadine Gonzalez. And this one starts out for anybody who has ever been like so fed up with their job that they just wish they could just like quit on the spot and walk out. That is what Lily Lyon does. She essentially is on a company retreat in Miami and it's like real corporate and, locked down. And she's wearing an uncomfortable suit, even though it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. And a newcomer is sort of given credit for like all the work she's done. And she just like looks around and is like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she just like quits or just walks out and then decides she doesn't even want to go back to New York. So instead she finds a sort of like long-term Airbnb rental in a beautiful like Art Deco building on Miami Beach. And across the hall neighbor is Benedicto Romero, and Ben has won a MacArthur Genius Grant for his work in translation. But it turns out the things that these two have in common is actually a love of romance novels. So nice. She is like writing a review on like a Goodreads type platform, and he is responding to her reviews, and they figure out that they like both love romances, and they decide to start a like romance book reading club in the building.
Adorable.
It is a great book. It's really fun if you love romance. The tight-knit community of like people in the building like sort of start joining in. And then because of the social media frenzy around this, they end up having a romance podcast. Fine. I'll allow it. It's really cute. Ben and Lily have a great romance, and it's just like a great book about community and romance itself. So that's Only Lovers in the Building by Nadine Gonzalez. This week's episode of Fated Mates is brought to you by Pocket Bookshop, an eclectic feminist bookstore owned and operated by three best friends from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
So I've talked a million times about Pocket. We've talked about Pocket. We love Pocket. It's one of the cutest independent bookstores in Pennsylvania, in this beautiful big old Victorian house. They have a huge romance selection and this very great opportunity for anybody who wants to support an indie bookstore, where if you pre-order any book at all, and I talked about this at the beginning of the episode, but I'm going to talk about it now because they have an ad with us. If you pre-order any book from Pocket and you use the code preorder on checkout, you get 15% off your pre-order, which is pretty great. Like, this is the way that you can support a cool indie bookstore that loves romance and is just like putting good into the world regularly. What's more is if you still haven't pre-ordered these summer storms, you can do that and get it signed from Pocket. I'm going to head down there on July 6th, the day before my release week begins, and I'm going to sign all the copies of these summer storms that they have. You can pre-order Storms or any romance novel or any book in general that isn't out yet right now at the Pocket website and use the code preorder and you'll get 15% off.
Everybody, you can check out Pocket Bookshop at their website, which is Pocket Books Shop. So there's like a double S in there.com. And then at the top of their site, they have a current pre-order campaign where you can find the information about these summer storms, as well as subscription, surprise boxes, and lots of other great things. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to the website. Thanks to Pocket Bookshop for sponsoring this week's episode.
Kate Meter has a new book out.
I know.
Sweet thing. Book 1 of the Chicago Players hockey series. So enjoy, everybody. I'm very excited. So this is a single dad, nanny, age gap hockey romance. So if you love any of those tropes, you are about to get them in the very best way from Kate, who is an absolute pro. Lars, our hero, has just found out that he is a father. His one-night stand, a while ago one-night stand, shows up and says, "You've got a kid," and then hands him his brand new daughter, and he immediately has to get it together. So, what he does is he goes looking for somebody who can travel with the team and be a nanny for him. And he finds her in the daughter of his teammate and closest friend, because of course he does. So he hires Adeline to be his nanny and take care of his baby, and while he is hockeying around the country, except she has had a crush on him forever, and now she is having to deal with the fact that she is really down bad for her dad's best friend. Listen, did I immediately one-click this? I am trash for 3 of these tropes. So it's going to be a great time. I know that to be true. That's Kate Meter's Sweet Thing, and it's out July 15th.
Okay, I am going to talk about a historical Best Luck Bride by Laura Lee Gerke, who has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
And is great at the job.
Yeah. So let me hold on, everybody. Okay, so this is the 3rd book in the Scandal at the Savoy series. So this is a Victorian romance where an unlucky lady finally believes that her fate is changing until the rake that broke her heart returns to town. So Kay Matheson is our heroine. Her first engagement failed. Her second was ruined by gossip about the first.
Uh-oh.
And she's basically resigned to being like, listen, I'm a spinster and it's fine. But an American millionaire has offered for her hand, and she's like, all right, I finally landed myself a live one, or at least a rich one. And but the scoundrel who broke her heart arrives in town with his own fiance. His name is Devlin Sharp. He's finally become a success, and he's not going to let an old flame derail all his hard work. But they come back and they get back together, and all of a sudden a searing kiss threatens both their wedding plans and their futures, and maybe Kay is going to be the bad luck bride all over again. So that sounds great, and I just think Laura Lee Gerke writes a great one. So that is,
she really, really does.
Bad Luck Bride.
Okay. Elliot Fletcher, who writes these modern day Scott contemporary romances, has the 2nd book in her McCabe Brothers series out July 8th. The book is called Scotch on the Rocks, and it's an opposites attract romance between our heroine, Juniper, who is has a very clear rule, which is she doesn't look, talk, or think about McCabe brothers. Like, they are trouble, and she it's best if she steers clear of them. Except it's very difficult for June to follow her own rules, considering one of the brothers is in love with her best friend, one is her ex-fiance, and the third is super hot small town hero Callum McCabe, which means that this romance is about a woman and her ex-fiance's brother. Another trope I just can't get enough of. So what happens when Callum starts popping up everywhere, especially when Juniper is at her most vulnerable? It feels like she's going to have to break some rules. So that's Scotch on the Rocks, out July 8th. Lots of things out July 8th.
Lots of things out July 8th. Okay. This one sounds honestly really fun. It's called Roll for Romance by Lenora Woods. And it is a Dungeons and Dragons romance, and I think that sounds nice. So
I have another one later in the summer, I think.
Okay, so in this one, Sadie Brooks has lost her marketing job. She leaves New York City to spend summer with her best friend in small town Texas, where she is going to join his Dungeons and Dragons campaign. It's the perfect distraction while she basically gets her life together. And the best part about it is in the game, she is Jaylee, right? Like a powerful human cleric blessed by the goddess of luck. And in real life, she's just like, my luck has run out. And she meets Noah Walker. He is a bartender roped into joining their party as the character Lauren, who's an adventurous and charismatic lute strumming elf.
Perfect.
So essentially, it's like their characters are going to fall in love just as they also fall in love. But I think one of the problems is that Noah never stays in place for long. She has a new opportunity in New York, but have they both found something in Texas worth staying around for? So I don't know. I just think that sounds really fun. Roll for Romance by Lenora Woods.
Lucy Score has a book out also on July 8th. Everybody Not Part of the Plan is coming. This one is everybody loves Lucy. I'm just making sure you all know that July 8th, there's something coming for you. A photographer who is a love 'em and leave 'em bad boy with a leather jacket, motorcycle, and sexy as sin grin. And Emma Merrill, who is a feisty brewery manager, who refuses to be impressed by his charm or the fact that as a photographer, he's just like in and out, no strings attached. She's looking for love. He is looking for one night, because relationships lead to heartache for him, Jen. Poor baby. Poor baby. So he's only in town to get his mojo back, and guess who brings his mojo back for him?
I'm going to guess it's Emma.
I'm going to guess it's Emma.
All right. I have one more, I think, for July, and that is, there's more, but I'm going to say The Soul Gazer, which is a romantasy about a rakish pirate. And I was like, I want to read this. Okay, so unfortunately, she's got that name that's like Irish, and I don't know how to say. Sorshi?
Oh, Sorsha.
Sorsha, sure. She has been cursed from childhood with a real volatile magic, and she basically, the only way she lives with it is by locking it in, and then she's really afraid it'll break free, and one day it does. And so her parents essentially are so horrified at this that they offer her hand to the cold and ruthless Stone King, and she's like, I gotta break this curse. So she seeks out the Wolf of the Wild. He's a feral silver-tongued pirate. I just stopped reading right there and was into it. And so anyway, these two, Sorsha and Phelan, are gonna run off to the pirate world, try and control her magic, figure out what's wrong with her disgraced father. The betrothed is chasing after them, and the only thing Phelan says is, if you want on this ship, you're gonna have to marry me first. Bam. That is The Soul Gazer by Maggie Rapier.
Cool. I have a YA historical that I
Okay.
just want to tag, which is The Great Misfortune of Stella Sedgwick by S. Isabel, also out July 8th. And it's billed as Bridgerton meets the Davenports, following a young Black woman trying to balance her independence with her future in 1860s London's high society. So Stella, our heroine, has been sort of banished from etiquette lessons. She is unsure of her future. She dreams of being a writer. She wants to be independent. She doesn't want to get married or go into servitude, which are the options for a kind of brash, dark-skinned girl in London in the 1860s. But her late mother's former employer summons her to London and tells her that he intends to bequeath this brilliant Stella with one of his great estates. And this is freaking life-changing. Unfortunately, there is going to be a legal battle when his family finds out about this, and it would all be easier if Stella were married. So she and her cousin Olivia head into London society to basically like navigate a season and find love. And what they find, or what Stella finds, is Nathaniel, her childhood best friend, who's like something of a rake, but maybe willing to help Stella sort the marriage market thing and all the kind of intriguing opportunities that come for a young woman of means in 1860.
Okay.
So
Go. Sorry.
if you are interested in YA historicals, or if you have a young person in your life who might be really interested in learning about historical romance, this looks like it's a great entry point into the wide world of the historicals that Jen and I read when we were far too young to read them.
All right. I actually lied, and I have two more I want to talk about really quick. You said YA, and C.B. Lee, who is one of my favorite YA authors, has a new book out called Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. In this one, a geeky overachiever who's determined to save the world through science and troublemaking essentially like lashes out against her destiny, and she like falls in love at a magical coffee shop where two different universes sort of collide. And so Brenda is the one who essentially is like, my internet's going out right before an important scholarship deadline, stumbles into Cat's family coffee shop, and she's like really like blown away by how cool and confident and awesome Cat is. And so these two young women cannot stop thinking about each other without, like, essentially, though, they are from different universes. So they need to find a portal where they can meet to go on a second date. I really love C.B. Lee's YA books. They're great. And then I forgot about this one, which is A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen, which was pitched to me as being something like Peaky Blinders meets Six of Crows.
Oh,
and
Sarah
I was like,
came online.
She sure did, and I knew that she would. And so, A Forbidden Alchemy has like essentially starts off with two 12-year-olds. Essentially, they are like whisked away from the shadows of their mining towns to discover their magical potential, and they like discover this grand elemental magic that they have. And Patrick wants to go back to his craftsman family, but his extraordinary physical strength serves him in like the mines. And then it turns out that, like, of course, it's like years later, and Nina and Patrick end up on opposing factions. And I just was like, as soon as I heard Peaky Blinders, I was like really in a hardcore way. So that's A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen.
This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by K.K. Denner, author of Again, Scoundrel.
Here's a second chance romance set during the Victorian era when American heiress Violet Goodwin comes over from New York to London. She has an almost kiss with a dashing young captain, Alistair Crawford.
I love an almost kiss.
Who doesn't? So they're both kind of starry-eyed young dreamers, and there's no way that they have any chance of a future together because they both have their own plans. It's now 3 years later. Violet is back in London. She has sworn off marriage in favor of her mission, which is she's a nurse, and she is really determined to help bring about better like maternal care. And this, of course, is very forbidden because a young unmarried lady shouldn't even know anything about giving birth.
How babies are made.
How dare, Violet, how dare. So, and Alistair, who was once a hopeful naval officer, actually worked for the East India Company. So he is back disillusioned, nearly penniless, and basically drowning all of his disappointments in vice. He's got a buddy. They're hoping to launch their own trading company, but they're going to need an influx of cash. And what better way to do that, Sarah, than find yourself a beautiful young American heiress to wed. But Violet is not really interested in giving up her independence for a man who could really break her heart. And Alistair has to now decide, is he going to fight for his future or for the woman he can't forget?
You can find out exactly what Alistair is going to do right now in print, ebook, or with your monthly subscription to Kindle Unlimited. For those of you who do not subscribe to KU, you can get this book right now for $2.99. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title to be taken to buy the book. Thanks to Kay Denner for sponsoring this week's episode. August?
Yeah, we're ready for August.
All right, let's start with Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks. So I talked about Ivy. Gosh, Ivy's just a great person, but I also talked about Ivy when we did our death episode because she wrote Morbidly Yours, which was set in a funeral parlor. This is in the same world as Morbidly Yours, but I don't think it has to do with the funeral parlor. So Lo Valdez does not believe in second chances. She has survived cancer, and life is too short to spend time on anyone who has wronged you. Like, if you wrong her, you're out of the club. So she has moved to Galway, Ireland, for medical school. And she was not looking for love, except she meets Aiden, a gorgeous, tattooed, mandolin-playing lawyer. Pause. Just everybody let that sink in. He's all the things. And they fell hard and fast when she moved there. But Aiden was given this incredible opportunity to move to London and record an album. And he took it and he left her and broke her heart. And it's been 2 years and a successful album later. Every song he writes is about her, the one who got away. And every single time Lo hears his voice on the radio, she is simultaneously longing for him and also furious that he broke her heart. No second chances, except they are maid of honor and best man at a weekend-long Irish castle wedding, Jen.
What are you going to do?
And I mean, sexy mandolin player. What are you going to do?
Listen, what are you going to do?
They're going to bang in a castle, Jen. That's what they're going to do.
Okay, fine.
So that's Heartstrings, and it's out August 12th.
All right, everybody. There's just not enough marriage and trouble out there in the world. But now we have A Promise of Forever by Cheryl Lister. So Terry and her husband, John, had a whirlwind marriage, a real fairy tale of a first year. They moved to this place called Firefly Lake. They made amazing friends. But over time, John's legal practice and Terry's work as an ER nurse have made them kind of like ships passing in the night. And Terry really can tell that their marriage is just, it's over. It's not going to work. And so there was an unexpected tragedy. She was in so much pain. They couldn't figure out how to talk about it. And so Terry gets his attention in the worst way by walking out. And so John is really shocked, ready to do anything to get her back. And he leans on their new friends in their supper club to help, him figure out how to take her out on dates and prove their chemistry is as hot as ever. And that it is not too late for them to figure it out. So Cheryl has been an author who been around, right, for a long time. She's written for Harlequin for a long time. This one is from Forever, and I'm really excited about it. So this is A Promise of Forever by Cheryl Lister.
Eva Lee has a new book out this summer called The Sea Witch. She's moved from historical into a kind of magic, fantasy, piratey, romantic-y world. This book is billed as like Pirates of the Caribbean with like romance and female rage. And that sounds great to me. So Alice Tanner, our heroine, has been condemned as a witch and sentenced to die. So she uses her innate magical power to flee puritanical New England. She steals a ship, Jen, and she becomes captain of the Sea Witch, leading an all-female sorcery-wielding pirate crew. The colonial navy is in hot pursuit. The navy fights for a hold on the Caribbean and tries to get her ship, and they will do anything to end witches. But when this Ben Priestley, a headstrong naval navigator, is inadvertently captured by these lady pirates, he ends up revealing more about the strategy of the Navy and sends them on a quest that will help everybody in this scenario except the Navy. And so they're going to brave backstabbing pirates, tropical islands, monster-filled seas, and they're going to have to learn how to trust each other because can a witch on the run and somebody who works for the government actually work together?
All right. Okay, I am going to talk about... Oh gosh, Tara Pammy. She writes.
Oh, I love Tara Pammy. She has a new book out.
Yeah, it's
that is so exciting.
I know it's a Harlequin Presents called His Forgotten Wife. I'm like, I don't know what else you need to know. So
that's a real Tara Pammy tee up.
Yeah, it is a fake engagement, amnesia, Greek billionaire romance. Bam. What else do you need to know?
Oh my God.
I'm not sure. Nothing. Okay. So listen to this. Listen to this description.
Incredible. Tell me.
The boss secretly wed her, then forgot.
No!
Yes. So Ares Demetrius wakes from a coma to find his family scheming to steal his company. The first call he makes is to his loyal assistant, Dolly Singh, to demand that she become his fake fiancée to protect his business empire, except his accident has made him forget. The accident made him forget that they are already married.
Stop it.
Unlike Ares, Dolly remembers every excruciating detail of their clandestine wedding, her mortifying confession that she was in love with him, and she can't refuse the proposal because she doesn't want to relive it. And so what is she going to do? She just goes along with it. And I honestly read this and was screaming, complimentary. So Tara Pammy knows how to write a book. His Forgotten Wife, amazing. Comes out August 26th.
I want to talk about You've Got a Place Here Too, which is an anthology of romance shorts by Black writers. And each of the stories is set against the world of an HBCU. And it is great. I tore through it. The writers in this anthology there are so many names that you know and you love: Elizabeth Acevedo, Carla Bruce, Ebony Liddell, Farrah Roshan, Kennedy Ryan, Nicola Yoon, and many others. I just want to call out a couple of them. Elizabeth Acevedo wrote this really beautiful short story that's written in verse. It's all in couplets, which is amazing. And then Nicola Yoon's short was all told through course syllabi, and like other things like the objects related to courses. And then, of course, there's a Kennedy Ryan that is so sexy, and there's a Farrah Roshan that's so romantic. We've talked a million times on the podcast about how much we love anthologies, and this is just a great example of something that, like, get your hands on this and then find yourself 10 new writers that you've never read before.
Amazing.
So that is called You've Got a Place Here Too, and it is out August 12th.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Leather and Steel series by Cher Therese. And I am, like, as far as I can tell, she's independently published. And so the first book is out already, but like our spreadsheet seemed to indicate that like a second one might be coming out later this summer. So the first book is called Steel Horses, Leather Roads. And this is a black cowboy series, which cowboys are so hot right now. And so obviously everybody's going to want to jump right on this. So Kara Mackey, left Lily, Georgia in her rearview mirror years ago. She was chasing real big dreams and small town, was not going to do it. And a man there broke her heart, Corey and Dimitri. And he stayed because he had a family ranch. There's a legacy that he wasn't allowed to forget. And so, what happens, of course, is that Kara is going to come back to town and they have to figure out, like, are we reopening these old wounds, right? The past is so tricky and terrible. And so this is essentially the history of the town, like, and their own history threatens to really essentially like wreck this new chance at love they have. And so Kara especially is like, is she going to keep running, or is this finally a chance for her to come home? And so this is part of that first book is called Steel Horses, Leather Roads. This is part of the Leather and Steel series. And it looks like this is a series where there will be potentially other ones coming out. So everybody, I just wanted to like highlight, because cowboy romances are real hot right now. So
there are so many.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming all summer long. Like you're going to see cowboys the whole summer in bookstores.
Yeah. And so this one is indie and I think will be really fun. And I might not have this in the right month, but I think it is available now. So that is Steel Horses, Leather Roads. It's a good title.
That is a good title. Okay, I want to talk about The Fortune Hunters. Let me say it again. The Fortune Hunter's Guide to Love by Emma Claire Sunday. This is a Harlequin historical. So Lady Sylvia is in financial ruin. And she has a very clear plan to get herself out of it, which is she's going to move to the seaside for the summer, where there will be a ton of wealthy men just holidaying and desperate for wives.
Sure.
Right? She will strike a deal with a local farmer, Hannah, there. Hannah will help her bag a rich husband. And then she, in return, once she has received Hannah's help and achieved like wealthy husband status, she will then fund Hannah's dream of opening a cheese shop. So this all seems totally reasonable.
Sure.
So the two of them are going to like charm their way into local luncheons, parties, balls. But there's a problem, Jen, because suddenly Hannah doesn't just want a cheese shop. She wants Sylvia too. Mm-hmm. And so the two of them start to fall for each other. But what about this fortune hunting scheme? Sylvia's still in financial ruin. And what's going to happen when the two of them can't keep their hands off each other? So this one is for anybody who likes cheese and lesbians. And so I think Sharon in our Discord is going to be really happy with this one.
I think everybody likes cheese and lesbians, honestly. Oh my God. Let's go for it. Okay. Amazing. All right.
You're welcome, Sharon. I thought immediately of you.
I mean, sometimes you just know the right person, the right book for the right person.
And like this book is for Sharon.
Okay. So here is My Big Fat Vampire Wedding by Jessica.
Oh, I was going to put that one on here too.
Gadziala. And this one is... It has a great tagline. Vampires live forever. So do his in-laws. So this one is a supernatural rom-com with Addams Family vibes. Pandora has real problems. She still lives with her parents. She's working a dead-end job. And oh yeah, she's a vampire who must get married by her birthday in 3 months, or she will not inherit the ancient family fortune. Only catch, of course, is that she's single. So she manages to find a perfect fake husband. Her work crush, Victor, a PhD student with a mountain of student debt. So she basically is like, look, we'll get married. I'll inherit. I'll pay off your debt. And then I'll divorce you. And he's like, great. Sounds awesome. But until Victor realizes that she is a vampire. So we've got a big fat vampire wedding looming, and this promise of till death do us part feels all of a sudden more intense. on
Mm-hmm.
Victor's part. So this one just looks really fun. So that's my big fat vampire wedding.
Well, we're going to go from vampires to zombies.
Sure.
Olivia Dade has her long-awaited rom-com coming out this summer. And the tee up is, of course, very Olivia. So there's a zombie outbreak for the first time in 2 decades. And Edie Brandstrup, who is just like a decent, great person, is like, I better save my neighbor. Like, I better check on my neighbors. So she heads over to try and save him, only to be saved by him and to discover that he's actually a like centuries old, very grumpy vampire. So, Gaston, that's his name.
Amazing.
He's like very protective of her immediately. And he's like, you have to stay in the bunker with me until like the people outside like figure out what the situation is with the zombie breach. But Edie's like a good person. And she's like, we have to save as many people as possible. All of our neighbors are going to get killed if we don't help. And he's like, oh my God, fine. I guess I will help you. Listen, this is the vibe I want, just full exasperated vampire. So if they unravel a conspiracy, somebody's setting the zombies loose on the world. They amass a host of like lovable allies. This sounds like really a sort of textbook Olivia Dade book. If you love Olivia's writing, congratulations. You're welcome. There's a new Olivia Dade this summer.
All right.
That is Zom Rom-Com.
What a title. Okay, so Kiss and Collide by Amanda Weaver is an F1 book. I think we're in it, right? Okay, so in this one, fast-talking, red lipstick wearing Violet Harper isn't looking for love or anything that takes her out of the driver's seat. She is a PR professional. She's got hookups all over the world. She doesn't need to be catching feelings for a man. But when she has a hot one-night stand with a freewheeling Formula One driver named Chase Navarro, she's like, well, that was great. And then she takes a job with his underdog racing team and discovers that he is their newest driver. So all of a sudden, their one-night stand turns into a workplace romance. Chase wants to just drive cars and, win the Formula One. I don't know if that's what you call it when you do that, but whatever.
Win the Formula One.
He wants to win the Formula Ones.
Yeah,
Sarah,
that's right.
I don't know how that
works.
Listen, what do I know about this sport? Nothing. So anyway, but Violet is forcing him in front of the camera, making him the new star of Formula One. What's going to happen? I bet they're going to figure it out.
Incredible.
So that is Kiss and Collide by Amanda Weaver.
Joanna Shoup fans, it's time. It's time. The Gilded Heiress is here, or will be here in late August. And this one is a retelling. It's like it's a retelling of the Lindbergh Babies / Anastasia, but with a classic Shoup hero who is just like a con artist and a rake and a scoundrel and perfect in every way. It's 1880. A baby is stolen from the wealthiest family in America. A ransom of massive proportions is offered, or not. Nobody ever asks for a ransom, but a reward of massive proportions is offered, and the family never gives up hope. And then 20 years later, a girl, Josie, who was raised in a children's asylum, ends up on the streets, learns how to take care of herself, and her singing voice draws crowds on every corner, including Leo Hardy, who instantly sees her and sees an opportunity to use Josie and pass her off as the missing baby from the Pendleton family from years earlier. He has a reason to take revenge on the family. He wants the money. And he is not above using this girl and lying to her to get what he wants. Except what happens when maybe she actually is the missing baby and they are definitely falling for each other. This book is blazing hot. First of all, everybody's gonna have a great time with it, and it's Joanna Shoup finally back with a new romance, new historical. That's called The Gilded Heiress.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Here for a Good Time by Pei Moth at War, which is a rom-com where, okay, so Poe has a publishing career that basically any writer would kill for. Her first novel sold at auction, became a #1 international bestseller, and is be turning into like a Netflix film. Now what does she have? A massive case of writer's block, and she's on deadline for her second book. She is really like, I don't even know what to do about it. So she sort of panics and books a 2-week getaway at an exclusive island resort for her and her very hot best friend's way. And there, I'm sure, Sarah, she will be inspired to write her next bestseller. But wait for it. The vacation of her dreams disintegrates in a flash when the resort is taken over by a group of masked women who are very armed and very angry.
Why?
I don't know, but
what happened?
They have a reason, Sarah.
I mean, it's 2025. Look around, Sarah.
Right.
Throw a stone.
So as they try to leave the island before the group can track them down, Poe and Zwei suddenly find themselves facing the kind of conflicts that only come up when you're trapped in a life or death situation on a remote island with your very hot best friend. So
Amazing.
This sounds great, and I'm really looking forward to this book, Here for a Good Time by Pei Moth at War. This week's episode of Fated Mates is brought to you by Lumi Gummies. Consistent, mellow, and super delicious, Lumi Gummies are specifically designed to make you feel good, not stoned. Whether you're looking for an end-of-day de-stressor, a midday mood boost, or help getting the best sleep ever, Lumi Gummies has a strain that's right for you.
For the last couple of weeks, I've started having kind of nighttime hot experiences. Not the good kind. And I think it's either stress or the time marching in my life. but I woke up one morning and I had really had a rough night. I hadn't slept very well at all, and I thought to myself, I this is unsustainable. What can I do to stop it? And I'm not ready to hear that there's nothing I can do to stop it. You guys don't come at me for that. But I did Google it, and apparently one of the things that you can do is try a THC gummy. And I just happened to have a jar of Lumis in my house, so I took a gummy that night and I slept great. And so, I know you've used them to sleep.
Big time sleep
well.
For me. Yeah.
I know Eric sometimes uses them to sleep well. I've also used them to chill out. I have actually, if I've had a particularly bad day at the gym and I'm sore, I've used them for that. So, people find a lot of different ways to use these gummies. I find that they're great because they actually don't make you feel stoned. They just do the thing you need them to do.
Yeah, they're awesome.
In fact, that one didn't put me to sleep, that one that I took the other night, because I then watched 2 episodes of House.
But you were just chill,
time.
and it was nice.
It was great.
Lumi Gummies are available nationwide. Go to lumigummies.com. That's LUMI gummies.com and use the code FATEDMATES for 30% off your order. Again, that's LUMI gummies.com, code FATEDMATES. Lumigummies.com, code FATEDMATES. And thanks to Lumi Gummies for sponsoring this week's episode.
Oh, I'm going to talk. It's not Dungeons and Dragons, but the tagline of it is Dungeons and Dragons meets Allie Hazelwood, which is why I was I have a Dungeons and Dragons book on my list. I don't. I have Sarah Rosh on my list, which she's now been on multiple lists of mine recently, because she's the one who wrote the kings of all of the kings and queens of all the holidays, romances,
right? Yeah,
right, which I was very charmed by. So this is her new book. It comes out August 26th. It's called The Entanglement of Rival Wizards. And the premise here is that these are graduate student wizards in wizard university, and they are forced to work together without killing or falling for each other. So there's Sebastian, love it, name is Destiny. Sebastian is a human and the first of his family to pick college over the military. There's, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Elithior, who is half elf and a pretentious asshole.
Hmm.
And then they are basically this up for the same research grant. They are finalists for the same research grant. And Sebastian is sort of pissed because like he's a human and like this like Elithior is like old money, has been, comes from old elf money
Old
and
elf
old elf
money.
power. And like basically is like, I am smarter than you and better than you, and I want this grant. And Theo, which is what we're going with as a nickname for this elf, is in his shared lab space with his projects and also just like being hot and distracting. So they are in a fight. They are in a battle to win this research grant, and also possibly just like in a battle to like resist how sexy they both are. Listen, as you all know, I'm on the record for being very pro characters who are half elf. So
Sure. We all have our kink.
am I going to have a great fucking time reading this book? I definitely am. I've loved all of her other books. I'm excited about this one.
All right. So we have some more pining on the table, and that is with Love is an Open Book by Chandra Blumberg. And in this one, Mia Brady is a romance author whose books really take off and become bestsellers, and then it becomes a hit TV show. And again, we got some writer's block on the table. But so her fans are really clamoring for like the next book, but her heart's been broken, and she can't, it's getting in the way of her writing. So her best friend is Gavin Lane. He is Mia's ride or die BFF. He's been by her side through it all. And of course, he has the most hardcore case of pining anybody's ever seen in a romance novel. So she is like, okay,